So for low back pain or hip flexor tightness, we're gonna work on stretching out that hip flexor. If we think of the pelvis as like a bowl, right? Right here, and we were to, most of us are kind of tilted forward, so the water is spilling out of the bowl, right? I wanna work on tilting either neutral or almost backwards to a degree, where the glutes almost tuck under, pelvis engages, or lower ab engages. And then what happens here is glute turns on, ab engages, and it helps relax that hip flexor. So think like opposite muscles. So you flex your bicep, your tricep naturally relaxes. Flex your tricep, bicep relaxes. So hip flexor, glute, we get that glute engaged, the hip flexor can relax. So what we're gonna do is like start in a lunge stretch. So we get one leg up, and instead of kind of like forward lunging and try to stretching out to the hip flexor there, I want you to focus on tucking the pelvis under, and then just kind of like trying to pry that hip through forward. You're squeezing that butt, tuck the pelvis under from here to here. Squeeze that glute as much as you can. You should feel a little stretch to that front side of the leg, almost like top of the quad right there. And that's what I want you to focus on for any period of time. So you can go in and out of that position where you're getting the glute engaged and disengaged, and just practice that any period of time, anywhere from like 1 minute sets all the way up to 5 minute sets, and just kind of keep on switching legs back and forth. Second thing you should probably work on, this one we're gonna be on the floor. This is a little bit more of a relaxation stretch. You can kind of play around with it for a little bit, but get your legs up against the wall right here. And same thing, we wanna like, instead of like arching up and having that big low back, I want you to think about tucking the pelvis underneath and pressing your hips into the floor as hard as you can. So we're trying to get those glutes engaged. Having the feet against the wall will just kind of put those quads a little bit on stretch, and you're just working on a little bit of like kind of trying to relax through your upper back and tuck the pelvis under. And you can kind of hold if you want to read, like work on your phone or something like that, just hang out in this position. I don't want this where we're like kind of hyperextending through the lower back though. So think chest is down, tuck the pelvis under, and just kind of like you can just lean to one side or the other, kind of focusing on one glute versus the other one to try to help loosen up that hip flexor. This is something you can kind of relax into for like 5 or 10 minutes at a time, and then you can slowly kind of like work your way up and see if you can actually pry that hip through and stretch on either side this way too. So if you want to put a little bit more tension on it, you can mess around with this position, but most of the time you're just going to want to prolong stretch into this one where you're working on engaging the glute and relaxing the hip flexor. Mess around with those two things, and hopefully some of that low back pain will loosen up. And also I recommend getting in some type of walk, like, there we go, some type of walk, at least 10 minutes at a clip, to kind of get those glutes firing, get some blood flow into the system again too. That helps like loosen up the lower back as well.